Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sunday morning stretch class. I'm Jen. Let's get started. I've got my stick, my PVC pipe. Mine here, a little bit over 5 feet. Kind of the ideal is something that approximates your wingspan. Okay, I have my yoga mat and a strap and a blanket for kneeling because we will probably end up on our knees at some point today. All right, let's go ahead and start from the ground up. All right, we haven't done our footwork in a little while, so we're gonna plant the stick parallel to our belly button, extended out in front, and our grip right at our armpit level. Okay, check in with your stance, make sure your weight is evenly distributed on your feet, a little bit of tension in your lats. Okay, and then we'll begin by peeling our feet up and down off of the ground nice and slow. Being mindful that your shoulders stay level, driving all the way up onto the toe mounds. Hold and then release, articulating really slowly. Good. Okay, now let's work toward the other foot. Same movement, just up and down, nice and gently and thoroughly. If you gaze down, you can see your knee driving forward. You shouldn't feel your shoulders hiking up. All right, if this is your first stretch of the morning, you might feel a lot of creaks here. That's okay. Now we'll go back to the original foot and we'll start working in circles. So as you do this, we're working from pinky to big toe, inner edge, heel, and outer edge of the foot. And I want you to be specific here, pressing each toe into your mat as you work in these circles, rounding that foot all the way. Now let's change directions. Working in the opposite direction and feel yourself really pushing to the outer limits of your ankles mobility here. But again, your shoulders shouldn't be rising. That lift is going into knee flexion. Okay, let's switch to the other foot. Big toe to pinky, heel or outer edge to heel, inner edge back to big toe. And again, that 10%, maybe 15% tension into your stick, activating your lats and obliques. And change direction. Good. You should feel your ankle going back and forth in this movement as you work in these circles. This is also really good for the muscles in the front of your legs. You may feel that a little bit as we stop. Not only do you get fatigued a little bit in your calf muscles, but also in the muscles in the front, which is good. All right, now we're going to work on our heel raises, nice and balanced in alternating fashion. So we're going to go up and down, working all the way up as high as you can. Nice tempo that you can maintain. Up, 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 up. Okay, good. Staying level, maybe adding a little more tension into the stick. Good. Okay, now let's pick up the pace a little bit faster. Up and up, up and up, up and up. Good. Yes, right there. Up and up. Good. 3, 2, and 1. All right, nicely done. Okay, now bring your feet together. Okay, so now we're going to do some lateral work. And actually, I'm going to take myself to the edge of my mat because this is when we walk laterally with feet together. All right, so I like to be to the edge of my mat so I can get an idea of how far I'm traveling. So my mat is about 6 feet in length. So if you can approximate that at home, and then I like to hold my stick with palms up. All right, so I can focus on my balance just a little bit, a little visual cue for you. So as your feet are drawn together, all right, then we're going to lift toes in concert and send them to the left and then lift heels. And we're walking to the side and pressing through your toes to lift your heels. Good. Get to your edge and then start walking the other way. Whoa. Good. Okay, we'll do it down and back one more time. Press and lift. Good, and back. Nicely done. Okay, good. Now we walk to the center of our mat, right? So find your center, feet together, and they're going to walk out in opposition to each other. Okay. So I always begin with sending my toes away. So I'm externally rotated, and then heels and toes. And you're going to go through this pattern as deeply as you can. And I'm stopping right about here. And I'm going to gaze over at the distance that I've traveled. I'm stopping with my feet parallel to the edge of the mat. All right, now I'm pausing here for just a moment, and then I'm going to intentionally activate through my inner thighs. So I'm imagining that I'm pulling my feet together, drawing in to fire up my inner thighs, and then I'm going to drag my toes in, and then heels, toes, and heels. All right, good. We're trying to promote blood flow. Okay, ready? We're going to do that again. And we'll pause as we get our legs as far out as we can, and hopefully we're getting maybe just a little further. Okay, toes, heels. Good. So maybe you can get yourself to that point where you're just mildly uncomfortable. Activate those inner thighs. Try and drag that carpet or that tile between you inward as you fire it up, and then pull the toes, heels, toes, heels. Nicely done. Okay, good work. All right, step it out a little bit. How are your feet? How are your legs? Good. Okay, now we're gonna move up. Okay, so with hands on the stick, palms down, grip as wide as you can, draw in your belly button, inhale, and begin elevating the stick to the top of your head, and now soften through your chest. And let it slowly drip down the back of your head. Good. Okay. Once you hit a stopping point, bring it back to the front. Inhale and reaching the top of your head, exhale and soften. And let the stick drip again behind your back. Good. To the front. Good. Feel that softening through the chest. Nicely done. And we'll try it one more time. Inhaling and exhaling as the stick cascades down your back, slow, 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 all the way to your hips. Good. Okay. All right, now we're going to do one arm at a time. All right. So we're going to put the stick, the right end of the stick in your pocket. Reach up to your ear. So we have a nice straight line here, and let it descend back to your hips, up to the other pocket, and to the front. Okay. Straight up, straight down behind the hips, and straight up again. Now, as you're finding your rhythm with this, be mindful that you're trying to stretch the muscles in your back and shoulder and not bending from the spine in order to achieve this. So stay neutral and reach up and over. Good. One more circle in this direction. And then we'll change direction. So left side, back, right side, up and over. Last circle. Good. Okay. Now let's go ahead and put the stick on our upper traps. So it's up here. It's not in the base of your neck. It's down just a little bit. All right. Palms extended out toward me. All right. Neutral stance, legs comfortably distanced apart. Draw the belly button in. And exhale as we take our first hinge of the morning. Now remember, as we hinge, we send our fanny toward the back wall. We're melting our belly button and sternum toward the mat, not rounding through the shoulders. That's really the benefit of using the stick. It's going to keep your shoulder blades drawn back. And our goal is a nice neutral spine as you melt forward. Nice and slow. Exhaling to soften through the hamstrings and glutes. Rise and descend again. Good. Now we'll rise and we'll lower the stick to our hips with knuckles facing out. Okay, we're going to add in one more shoulder really quick. All right, so we're going to hinge forward and let that stick descend past your knees, past your ankles as you're able, and find your hinge. So the ideal hinge is at least parallel to the ground, but if you can get deeper than that, that's great. Now exhale as you push that stick up and over your fanny. Let your head fall between your legs as you stay in your hinge and let your arms travel over your back and rest in this position, going to as full and range as you can. Good. And then slowly bring it back down all the way to your ankles. Now, if you need a breather here or a blood flow check, you can rise, but we're going to do this 3 times. So push it slowly up and over your fanny, over your back, and exhale even more deeply as it descends past your shoulder blades as you're able, and you're gazing between your knees. Don't force this stretch if you feel really tight in the front of your shoulders. Rather, melt into the stretch. Last time, exhale. Excellent. Okay, slowly return the stick back down to your ankles and rise. All right, nicely done. Okay, oopsie. All right, now we're going to return the stick to our shoulders and we're going to assume a split stance posture. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stand now with my right leg forward. Okay, and I'm just going to initiate this one with my my left leg forward. My right heel is down. My front knee is bent. And I'm going to push my right heel down really with some good energy so I initiate with a nice calf stretch, being conscious that you're not gripping through your quad. So right now you should be focusing on that back leg. Nice long line. All right, now you can go ahead and peel that heel off of the ground and exhale as we melt forward into a split stance hinge. All right, so you may feel a little bit of balance challenge here. Try and think square shoulders, and your stick should help with that. Square hips. And let's say maybe 75% of your body weight, maybe even a little bit more, is on the front leg. Good. Now to rise up, we're going to inhale and then exhale. Heavy heel, low belly, press through the mat to come back up. Okay, your balance comes from your core. So just remember that as you exhale, draw everything in towards your spine, all of your core muscles, and then press the heel through the mat. We'll go one more time. All right, ready? Melting forward, belly button through sternum, shoulders are back. Pause for just a moment here. Breathe. 1 or 2 nice long inhales and exhales. And then before you reverse that hinge, inhale, exhale into the low belly, and then press the heel through the ground and rise. Neutral spine from your hinge. Excellent. All right, now we're going to switch legs. Okay. So right leg is forward now. Knee is bent. Left leg is straight back, and I'm going to press my heel into the mat. Stretch that calf just a little bit. Try and release my quad as I do so. Good. Checking in with my feet, making sure they're pointed straight ahead. Front and back foot. Excellent. Okay, now you can release that back heel. Okay, so you're more on the balls of your foot. And we're going to exhale and hinge. Parallel shoulders, parallel hips. Melting that sternum. Again, that body weight is predominantly on that front leg. Pause, think long spine. If you find yourself rounding internally, lengthen. Tailbone moves away from the base of your skull. Draw in that breath, exhale, low belly, and right heel presses through the mat to come back to standing. Good. One more time, folks. And melt. Good. This kind of work, you definitely feel active toes into the mat. You may look down and see your foot really working to maintain that balance, and that's great. All right, exhale, low belly, right heel, press forward and rise. Nicely done. Okay, now we're gonna use that same positioning. Yes, back to that same work. Okay, but we're gonna have this stick. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to, I'm gonna switch legs back to my left. I'm gonna try and do like a little angled view for you guys. So my left leg's forward, my stick is in my right hand. And now we're gonna introduce just the first part of our rotational work today, okay? So this is our split stance windmill, okay? So the stick is right in front of my armpit, the line of my armpit, and right about at the line of my leading foot, okay? So not too far ahead. So bring it back just a little bit, Laura, good. And you wanna have your back heel up a little bit. Okay, now we're going to hinge, but also reach for the stick, and our bottom hand's going to reach for the ground, and our top hand's going to reach for the ceiling. Okay, all right. So with this bottom hand, I'm reaching for the stick, and I'm rotated so my thumb is down and my pinky is up. There you go, Michael. Yep, that's it. Okay, now I'm exhaling and hinging, melting down, trying to get my bottom hand all the way to the earth, and my top hand is straight to the top of my stick. And as I'm able, I gaze up at my hand that's reaching for the sky. Good. And so my back leg is straight as I'm able. Good. And I'm getting kind of a double work here. I'm getting a stretch out of my hamstring and glute in the left. I'm getting my first rotational movement in my low back. I've melted my chest into the stick. Good. Okay, now find your center of gravity. All right, rock back to your heels, and you can use your stick to rise up out of that. All right, so for this one, Michael, I might get you the longer stick that's over in the corner since I think you'll find it to be better, that tall one, if you, because then you'll really be able to stretch to your entire wingspan. And don't worry, we'll try it again on the same side. Okay, so revisiting back to our left leg forward, planting the stick right in front of our shoulder. So get it in front of your shoulder, Michael, like right here, right in front of your armpit. There you go, and right at your foot level. Okay, all right, so now we're hinging as our left hand reaches over, thumb down. Hinge and melt into the stick. There you go, Michael, much better. Good. That bottom hand, flip your grip. Yes. Good. And gaze up at your top hand. There you go. Good. And think long spine. Feel your tailbone stretching away from the base of your skull or your shoulder blades. Maybe that's a better visual. Okay, find your center of gravity in your heels, reverse your hinge and come to standing. Excellent. All right, now we'll switch. So we'll have right leg forward, left leg is back, as straight as you can maintain it with heel off the ground. Okay, the stick is now in my left hand. It's right about at level with my right foot. It's right inside my shoulders. So if I had it here at my armpit, I'm just going to take it away a little bit from my armpit. Okay. All right. Now, right hand, it's going to rotate, palm out, thumb down. So flip the other way, Michael. There you go. Good. Okay. And hinge. Extending bottom hand to the ground, top hand to the ceiling, chest into the stick. Now, the goal would be that the stick is nice and straight, right, and not angled. So just be mindful as you improve on your stretches, you get more mobility, your stick will be straighter. Excellent. Okay, rock back to your heels and press back up to standing. Okay, one more, guys. Ready? Okay, melting forward, grasping the stick, thumb down, palm out. Hinging and melting. Right hand reaching for the ground, left hand reaching for the ceiling, chest reaching for the stick. Good. Gaze up at your left hand toward the ceiling. Excellent. Rock back to your heels and rise. Good. Okay. Nice entry level rotational work. Yay. Okay, now let's go ahead and bring the stick behind our hips. Okay. Behind your hips, palms facing me. Excellent. Soft bend in the knees. And we'll rotate just a little bit more here, twisting like a washcloth. Wringing out a towel. Good. Okay. So now we're going to move into slap shot or level 2 rotational work today. Okay. All right. So with slap shot, our first element is that with palms down, we hinge forward into airplane. Okay. So we find our nice parallel. All right. Now from here, we rotate. So I'm going to exhale and rotate, sending my left hand down toward the ground. And I'm going to plant the stick right under my belly button and extend my wingspan as long as I can. And again, gazing up over my left shoulder, my left hand's reaching for the ceiling. And you may feel your lats and your rear deltoids, the back of your shoulder on that left side, pulling to help with that rotation. Good. Unplug the stick, slowly rotate back to center and rise. Okay, so we're gonna go 3 times on that side before we go to the other side. All right, so at this point, you know the movement, add modifications if you like. If you want to get deeper into the stretch, widen your stance. Okay, so you do what you can. The goal is to get at least to, I'm planting the stick right below my belly button. I'm gonna go past that just to show how deeply you can get in this stretch. Some really, really mobile people can get all the way out into almost a split, the splits and do this, which I cannot do. My hips are not that good, but I do like to go a little bit deeper. Okay, so now with this next level, I'm gonna try and plant the stick next to my opposite foot. Okay, so I'm gonna exhale as I hinge and then pause because I found my parallel and then exhale, slowly rotate, and I'm gonna plant the right end of the stick at my left big toe and gaze up over my shoulder. And at this point, my weight is still evenly distributed on both legs. So I'm just rotating, I'm gazing up, feeling that long stretch through my left rib cage. Good. Now slowly unplug the stick, rotate back to center and rise. Good. And now level 3 is where we'll change our body weight distribution. Okay. We'll bend one leg and take a lateral lunge as we rotate. Okay. Draw in your belly button. Exhale as you melt forward. Find that parallel. Exhale as you rotate, sending right hand to left foot. And now I'm going to bend my right knee, straighten my left leg in a lateral lunge. Good. Now I'm going to press back up to center, even weight. Unplug the stick, rotate back to center and rise. Okay, nicely done. That's pretty intense. I'm going to fix my ponytail real quick and then we'll go to the other side. Okay, all right, so stick is back behind our hips. All right, so now we're going to be rotating left hand toward the ground, right hand to the ceiling. Ready? Inhale and exhale. And then exhale again as you rotate, sending left hand right below the belly button, gazing up over the right shoulder, extending toward the ceiling. And mindfully release your tension and your fear about stretching. It's very important to release into the stretch and not grip or tense in your stretch. All right, slowly unplug the stick from the mat, rotate back to center and rise. Okay, now we're going to try and take that left hand toward the right foot. All right, hinge and exhale. Pause at your parallel. Exhale and rotate left hand toward right foot. Gaze up over the right shoulder. Weight is still evenly distributed at this point. And you might feel it differently on this side than you did on the other. I'm feeling it a lot more in my right bicep that I did on the left side. Good. All right, unplug the stick, rotate and rise. Excellent. All right, and the last one, as you're able, is to take the lateral lunge. So now the left leg's going to bend, the right leg's going to straighten, and we're going to put more body weight into that left leg. Okay, and this is where we kind of visually look more like an X. Okay, ready? Belly button in. Exhale as you hinge, melting forward. Shoulders parallel to hips. Exhale as you rotate, left hand toward right foot. And then begin bending the left knee as the right leg straightens. Gaze up over the right shoulder. Exhale into the release. Excellent. Now press back up. Neutral stance. Unplug the stick. Slowly rotate back to center and rise. Nicely done. Okay. Now, let's begin getting ourselves down to the ground. Yay. Okay. So now we're going to use our stick just a little bit less. So if you need a blanket or a towel under your knees, we're going to get into a half kneel position. Now here we can use the stick for balance if we need to, okay, but you don't have to. All right, so we're in our lovely half kneel position where knee is under hip that's on the ground, and the other knee is extending straight out from your hip, foot on the ground. And now we're going to begin by just releasing through. I have my right knee down and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to release through my right hip flexor. Now, our hip flexors attach to the posterior of like underneath, they attach actually to your spine. Okay. And they thread their way through and get to the anterior side of you and attach into your femur. So they're like a jackknife, right? So as we do this hip flexor stretch, it's important that we try to keep our spine nice and tall. If we bend over, then we aren't stretching that hip flexor because we're bringing our spine toward our femur. So we want to keep our femur up and keep our spine up and stretch our femur away from us. So as I'm melting forward here, I'm imagining that my leg, I'm just leaving it behind. It's not a part of me. And then I come back up to center, because your hip flexors really are your source of strength and vitality. Good, nice and long. Good, and this nice third stretch. Leaving the leg behind. Good. Now I'm going to turn and face you so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Now you're going to take the leg and project it out to the side. And we're going to do that same lengthening, but now the target area is going to be your inner thigh. So you may be glad that you have the stick in your right hand with left knee up for balance. Okay, I'm going to take my left hand, I'm going to press gently on the inside of that knee. And as the knee goes forward, I'm pressing away and I'm getting a nice stretch through that adductor, opening up my hip. In that same thing, come back to center and then exhale, slide. Good. And last one, exhale and slide. Excellent. Okay. Now, if you haven't already, if you want to reach for your yoga blocks, your arm lengtheners, we are now going to lengthen that left leg and lay it out in front of us, nice and dead and straight. So it's on its heel and it's a dead weight into the ground. Okay, so I've stabilized my hamstrings positioning. Okay, now I'm going to hinge forward with my torso. So if you need, I'm reaching for the ground. If you are worried that you're not going to be able to reach the ground, that's where you'd use your yoga blocks. As we hinge, we're not rounding, we're maintaining that neutral spine. So we're moving at the waist, melting belly button through sternum, reaching for the ground. All right, now once you've placed your hands on the ground or your blocks, now you're melting. So you're exhaling and releasing. Good, softening through the hamstrings. Maybe you can feel as you melt and hinge, your hips moving away. Yes, sitting back is okay. Just try and think, keeping your hips square, Laura. It's really easy to rotate, so try and keep your hips square. Good, and as you melt, you can bring your forehead toward your shin. Reach with your right hand, grasping the arch of your left foot. And as you reach, extend from your lat. Good. Okay, now you're going to drag your heel back underneath your knee and come back up. Okay, nicely done. Now let's go ahead and switch legs in our half kneel. Okay, so starting with the hip flexor. So now I have left knee down, right knee up. Okay, hip flexor on the left side. So you're imagining that left leg is dead and you're going to leave it behind. Sliding forward, keeping your spine as neutral as you can. Opening up through the front of this hip, not gripping through that quad. Good, pressing back up. We'll take 3 of these. Exhaling as you melt forward. Nicely done. And last one. Good. Okay, now changing the nature of our stretch as we walk our leg out in a way. So now we're opened up. Okay, so the right knee is pointing out laterally. And now I'm going to melt this way, opening up, pressing on the inside of my right knee with my right hand to open up my adductor on the right side. Exhale. Throughout this, you should rely on a firmly engaged core. Okay, excellent. Now let's go through the rigors of our hamstring stretch on the right side. So extend the right leg. Reach for your yoga blocks. Okay, right leg is extended out in front of you and it's a dead weight. Heels to the ground. Yoga blocks in hand. And then we'll melt our torso down toward the ground. Nicely done. Exhale and relax. Try not to grip your quad. You can reach over with your hand, palpate your quad muscle, make sure it's not actively contracting. As the hamstring stretches, the antagonist muscle here, your quadriceps, are shortened, but they shouldn't be actively constricting. Good. Lengthen and soften, sending your hips away. Good. Left hand reaches for arch of right foot as you're able. Good. Now we're going to drag that foot back through, all the way through, plant it next to its partner, and then extend your hips back and reach for your child's pose. Excellent. Now rise up out of child's pose and we'll find tabletop and a little bit more rotational work. We'll take our first pigeon today. Okay. So we've been talking a little bit about lately about stretching through our glute muscles, and we're trying to target those deep interior glute muscles, not the ones, are gigantor, gluteus maximus muscle, but the ones underneath there. And the pigeon is a great way to access that as we're able. Okay, so I have hands under armpits, knees under hips, and I'm going to slowly move my right knee up toward my right hand. My left leg is going to extend back, and right here I get a good hip flexor stretch, right? As I press my hands to the mat and lift my torso away. I should be getting a nice stretch in my left hip flexor. But that's not where we're stopping. We're going to crawl our right hand up toward our left hand. So sneak it up there as well as you're able and as much as your knees will tolerate. Okay. All right. Excellent. Now we're going to slowly start lowering our torso toward the ground. So drop yourself to your elbows as you're able. And assess where you're actively gripping and breathe and release those muscles. For me, it's always my quads. There we go. And as you continue to soften, feel your chest melting towards your thigh, allowing your torso to come to rest toward the mat as well as your head. And you should be feeling that stretch now in your right butt, those muscles we just talked about, wanting to create a little bit of length in there, those deep muscles. Good. Now slide your hands under your armpits, pressing your torso up and away from the mat. And then drag that right leg back toward your left knee. And now we'll switch sides. Okay, repositioning yourself, nice and parallel, nice table. Okay, now left knee works toward right hand or left hand. Right leg slides back. And then left foot goes toward right hand. Okay, extend the right leg as much as you can. Too much on the knees? Oh, the flexion. The flexion, yeah. We'll get another one, Michael, that's going to get into that, the same muscle group. Lynn has that same issue. She has 2 knee replacements too, and she can't bend them that much. Okay, so I'm on melted my torso to my elbows, and now I'm melting my chest toward the ground, and I'm targeting in right here in my left butt, trying to stretch those muscles. Good. Now let's drag your hands underneath your armpits. Press your torso up and away and drag your knees back. So you're both knees are in tabletop. But now we'll go ahead and roll over onto our sides and we'll work our way down. Reach for your yoga strap. Okay. All right. So before we start our yoga strap work, I want you to just come to rest here on the mat and find your imprints. And relax for just a minute. Feel your body weight resting into the mat and feel what areas are creating an impression into your mat. As we go through this next round of stretching, we want to preserve our neutral spine. And so our breath work will continue to be important and our low belly engagement will continue to be important. Okay. The benefits of the stretches that we do with the yoga strap are kind of precipitated upon anchoring our hips down. Okay. So feel your hips into the mat. Feel the space you get in your low back with this neutral spine. With that, we'll take the hand strap in both hands and we'll place it around the arch or the ball of the right foot. Okay, and then you have the hand strap in both hands. Draw your elbows into your rib cage and lower your leg enough, or start from the ground where you can get it as straight as you are able. And it's not really a stretch at this point, it just becomes a dead weight into your strap. And from here, I'd like you to take your first good breath. So inhale into your nose and exhale out the mouth and engage your low belly. Feel it descending towards your spine. And with that next exhale, begin contracting on the straps, drawing your leg up. Being mindful that the foot is straight. Being mindful that you're not gripping in your quads. Being mindful that you continue to breathe. Exhaling as you contract through the biceps to draw that foot up, up, up. Hips are anchored as you lengthen through the hamstrings. Now release a little tension in your strap, lower the leg. And now we'll twist that leg, we'll internally rotate it. So you might feel a little contraction in your right oblique as you do that. Still keep your hips anchored to the ground, but now it's no longer running straight up and down. Your right big toe is now projecting towards your left shoulder. And you can move the straps into your left hand, place right palm down on the ground to help you support with that right lat, and begin contracting and pulling your right big toe toward your left shoulder to get after that outer hamstring. Good. Now lower the leg a little bit again. Return it back to a straight position. And now we're going to allow it to cross the body. Instead of pulling it up, I want you to let it fall parallel towards your left hip. And again, we're targeting those deep glute muscles here. And I'm holding onto the straps in my right hand. Hips are anchored. Exhaling into the release. And now returning the legs back to center. And now I'm going to let them fall to the right side of my body. So I'm going to hold on to them with my left hand as I open up. And you can even draw your left elbow into your rib cage as you open up the leg and let it fall out toward the right. Relax through your quad. Good. Now return the leg back to center and we'll exchange. Okay, so lengthen that right leg out on the mat. Take the yoga strap and wrap it around the ball or the arch of the left foot. Okay, make it as straight as you're able. Dead in the strap, not holding it up particularly high at this point. And then exhale and engage your low belly as you begin to contract through the biceps, pulling that dead weight of your leg up, up, up. Over your hips. Keep your hips anchored. Good. Slowly lower the left leg a bit. Internally rotate. Take the straps into the right hand, place left palm down on the ground, and contract through the bicep to pull the left big toe toward the right shoulder. Outer hamstring. You should be feeling this in the outside of the leg. Some people say they really feel it behind the knee. That's normal as well. Just focus on keeping that hip anchored as you're able. And then return that leg back to center, straighten the foot. And then we're gonna let it pass across the body, nice and straight, straps in your left hand. Targeting your deep glute muscles on the left side. Good, and then finally open up the adductors, so let the leg fall to the left. I have my straps. I'm actually keeping it in my left hand now and elbows into my rib cage. And this seems to work pretty good. Right palm down. And the key here is to allow that leg to be as dead as you can. It can be tricky. But to keep your hips anchored, now you have this big, heavy leg outside of your center of gravity. So you have to work really hard in your core muscles to keep your hips anchored. Okay. Now let's draw both legs in and lower them to the ground. Heels down, soles of your feet down, knees up. So now we're in our stargazer position. And we're going to cross our legs. I'm crossing right ankle over left knee. And I'm going to take my right hand and press down on my right inner thigh. And I can feel that rotation in my hip that I'm forcing, that external rotation. So I want to be as relaxed in there as I can in my figure 4 here. And now I'll take this yoga strap and I'm going to wrap it around the ball of my left foot. And I'm going to cross my right leg, my right ankle over the left knee again. And let that knee bend, that left knee bend. Okay, that's not a point of resistance here. The strap is over the knee, over the right leg. Now take that right elbow and press it into the meaty part of the right thigh. So you're externally rotating again there. And then elbows in, begin contracting through your biceps to pull the left knee in toward your chest. And here we're targeting a lot of those same muscle groups that we were in pigeon. Those deep glute muscles on the right side. Be as relaxed in your torso as you can. Use your biceps supported by your lats to pull that in. Try to keep your shoulders back and down onto the mat, nice and relaxed. Good, now release the strap and we'll go to the other leg. Okay, so left ankle over right knee. Use the left elbow to press down on that right knee to open and exteriorly rotate. Okay, grasping the straps above the legs, allow the right knee to bend. And then begin contracting through the biceps, supported by the lats, to draw the right knee in towards your chest. Pressing through that left elbow and left lat to open that hip up. Breathe. Good. Now slowly release the straps. Draw your knees into your chest. Tee out your arms. And then allow your legs to fall gently to one side. I'm going to the left to begin. And the goal is that we can bring those legs all the way to the mat with our arms teed out, palms up, and we're able to keep our shoulder blades on the ground. You can take your gaze over to your right hand. You can use your left hand and place it on your right knee and apply gentle pressure to aid in the stretch. Hopefully letting your legs go quiet. If you need more in this stretch, you can extend that bottom leg so that it straightens, and then you'll have more distance to travel with that top knee to get to the ground. So more pressure in that hand that's pressing down. Excellent. Now we'll rotate back to center. Draw the knees back up towards your chest, arms teed out, and then slowly lower them to the ground on the other side. So now for me, it's the right side. So my right hand will reach up toward my top leg, that's my left, and I'm gonna extend my bottom leg. And I'm tighter this way, wow. So I want my shoulder blades on the ground with my arm teed out. Big rotation here, relax and breathe into it. Excellent. Okay, rotate back to center. And just a couple of relaxing breaths here as you're stretched out on your mat, literally stretched out on your mat. We're all stretched out. Inhale and exhale. All right, great job, guys. Nice class. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining. Bye.